Hello everyone, welcome to our Sprint 1 review for the 4.1 GP task. I'm Kim and I'm served as the team leader for this sprint. With me today are Dev, our UI designer, and Smith, our front-end developer. We will walk you through every we accomplished during the Sprint 1, which ran from week 4 to week 6. Um, and while we walking together, we use several key tools, such as for communication, we usually meeting on MS Teams or meeting in person at Deacon Uni, and planning, checking the progress. We use the Trello board for sprint planning and task checking. For the version control, GitHub for collaborative development, and for the development, GitHub branching strategy with the individual feature branches. This setup allows us to work independently while maintaining integration. Okay, let me start by showing you our Sprint 1 planning and backlog from the travel board, which we did it from the beginning of the week 4. As you can see here, we began Sprint 1 with a clear product backlog containing all possible work for entire project. From this backlog, we selected specific item for Sprint 1, our commitment for what we will do in week 4 through 6, and we define three main user story for Sprint 1. In every user story we create, we have a design such as for user story 1, homepage branding, where we want an appealing homepage with Deacon branding, so we can easily identify the university and expand the networking from our school with the value at 5 story points. And for the user story 2, the unit information display with the value at 4 story points. We want to see unit detail in a clear table, so we can quickly find the course information in the table with the clean structure. And for the user story 3, secure content management with the value at 3 story points, which includes our cybersecurity requirement, where we want secure content management so sensitive university information is property protected. So these user stories were carefully broken down into specific actionable tasks that you can see distributed across our team members. Our total sprint commit was 12 story points distributed equally to ensure balanced workload. And our story points definition, we define that one story point as approximately 30 minutes to 1 hour of work requiring basic technical skills. A 2 point story involved moderate complexity with some research need, while 4 and 5 point stories point represent complex tasks requiring significant planning and integration work. Let's we come into the detail of our task distribution. As my role team leader, I have done every setting up the GitHub repository and adding the collaborator managing the unit content section and descriptions, adding the enrollment filing for the current student, and implementing the HODL requirement section. And for the UI design, will create a green header background, add Deacon logo to the header, style the header layout, and for the front end, we will create a table with including the information for the course and add the table styling and borders as well. Um, and every team member have done the work the on time, as I have created here from the week 4. On week 5, we have meeting and we check the web that is it have any bugs and we need to fix it. So this is on week 6. We check the progress again and check all our tasks again. So it's done now. And now Dev will show you which issue that we have faced during our first sprint?
Thank you, Kim. So, what worked for our group included having smaller vertical slices. This helped as we were able to deliver more user visible increments instead of big technical chunks. What also worked for our group was ownership tags, which meant each issue had a DRI, also known as a direct responsible individual, who was responsible for that task. Ownership tags also included the due date. Regarding what didn't work for our group, all three team members were not super familiar with the tools that we used throughout the project. This hindered the smoothness of the project's completion as some members took longer on their tasks as they needed to figure out how to use certain tools. Formal communication channels and dates and times were also not set up in advance to align with each of our schedules. Advice for other teams: groups should create a schedule and have agreed meeting channels and times from the beginning of the project. Group members should familiarize themselves with the tools they will be required to use for the completion of the project. And teams should also add some acceptance criteria to the user stories and ensure teams know and understand the scope of the project and its requirements. This can link back to the acceptance criteria of the user stories and can also include other considerations such as privacy, accessibility, and security. I'll now pass it on to Smith, our front end developer.
All right, thanks, Dee. We also made sure to make key privacy, accessibility, and security considerations for this project. So for privacy, we made sure to keep our Git repository free of any personal or student identifying information. So no names or screenshots or ID tokens were within the code or our commit messages. Our team's account hygiene was also important to consider. Our team members use private GitHub profiles with hidden emails, so our commits don't expose personal emails. Our access control level was another strategy that we used. Only the three team members, our team leader, our UI designer, and our front-end developer, were added to the repository and given the least access necessary for their requirements. We also kept our Trello space free of any artifacts that may expose sensitive information or other details. For accessibility, we made sure to use proper semantic structure by planning our headings in a logical order, so H1, H2, H3, and use meaningful link text like current students rather than just using a plain link for our user clarity. We chose a contrasting color scheme for our header and table to meet contrast guidelines, and also made sure that we avoided using just the color alone to convey any meaning. Another important accessibility detail is that we also made sure that all interactive elements were accessible to users just using the keyboard alone. And we also made sure to test that our CSS and code works on both mobile and desktop clients and scales correctly. So for security, we restricted our repository collaborators to only include our team members and made sure never to work directly on the main branch, as this branch would serve as our product-ready code. And we did this by working in our appropriately named branches as discussed in the brief. We made sure that our GitHub accounts had strong protection using two-factor authentication and not storing any account details, either digitally or on our devices. Our site uses static HTML and CSS and incorporates no third-party scripts. This combined with no input forms heavily reduces the number of attack vectors available. Because all changes are implemented through GitHub, any bad actors would have their changes visible in our audit log, and their commits would also require approval prior to implementation. And this concludes our considerations for privacy, accessibility, and security. Is there anything else anyone would like to add?
Okay, thank you for your introducing about our progress and the accessibility and the privacy. Um, and our team demonstrate both technical competency, professional project management throughout the sprint run. And thank you for your attention. And we welcome for ask any question. And that is all our progress. Thank you.